I am so excited to announce my newest baby, a book for parents all about tongue tie. Tongue Tie for Parents is the book you need if you have any questions about whether there's a tongue tie, how to get treatment, if your baby needs treatment, how to go about it, how to make decisions, how to help you and your baby recover. All of that is in this ebook. Every day I get questions from parents like you, and I know you need answers. Tongue Tie for Parents is built from the same step-by-step protocol I use when families sit across from me in my office. It's the information that you need for clarity, for confidence, and to help you make care decisions based on your own goals, because that's what's most important. You shouldn't need a Google search to get answers. You aren't crazy or overreacting. You are trying to figure out what is best for you and your baby. It's here and ready for you. Tongue Tie for Parents is an easy download. You can have it today for only $27. Go to tonguetieexperts.net/parentbook or follow the link in the show notes, because you and your baby deserve clarity, not confusion. You're listening to the Tongue Tie Experts podcast, a weekly program providing information and support for those families impacted by tongue and lip tie and the professionals caring for them. I'm Lisa Paladino, a midwife and a lactation consultant with over 30 years of experience. If you are a parent looking for answers or a professional who is curious to learn more than what you learned in school on this topic, welcome. This podcast is for you. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Tongue Tie Experts podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Paladino, and today I am here with two very interesting women entrepreneurs, Natalia Nordstrom and Lauren Lapointe, the founders of OITape. Natalia and Lauren are longtime friends with a shared passion for wellness, holistic living, and prevention over pharmaceuticals. Natalia is a wellness advocate and mother managing multiple health facilities, while Lauren is a certified breathwork facilitator and yoga instructor. In 2020, they discovered the power of mouth taping as a natural solution to sleep issues and launched OITape, a medical-grade hypoallergenic mouth tape made in the USA to promote nasal breathing and transform sleep health. Through OITape, these women are redefining what it means to rest well naturally. And we're going to chat all about the benefits of mouth taping and your particular brands of tape. But for now, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast, and let's talk a little bit about how you got here. So welcome to the Tongue Tie Experts podcast.
Thank you, Lisa. We're so excited.
We're stoked to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us on.
It's a pleasure. So let's start with you, Lauren. Tell me your story. Tell me, a little bit about what brings you here as, a breathwork facilitator, yoga instructor. Did that happen after, what was your journey?
Yeah. So Talia and I met in college. We're in our mid 30s now. We're moms. So it's been a long time since we've been friends. And when I met her, I was just getting into my yoga practice, which I've been on a long journey. It's a lifelong practice, studying yoga. But yoga really is all about the breath. It's about learning how to use the breath as a tool to calm the mind. We live in a really fast-paced, high-intensity world, very stressful all day long, as many listeners can relate. And that led me into really focusing on the breath and learning how to support others in properly breathing, to breathe, to release tension, pain, inflammation in the body, to release emotional blockages. And fast forward a couple years. So I've been a yoga teacher for about 12 years, a breathwork instructor for about 5. I was certified right before COVID, around 2019. And a couple years later, I got into mouth taping because my best friend and college roommate, longtime friend Natalia, I was spending the night at her house, and I noticed that her and her husband were, before they went to bed, they, said goodnight to me, but they started putting on mouth tape. And I thought it was, at the time, this was before mouth tape, it's a little bit more well known, but this was a very taboo thing to do. And I love anything weird and taboo and a little bit out of the box. So Natalia is a really great biohacker, and she tries a lot of different things that are outside.
So that piqued your interest.
Piqued my interest. I started mouth taping after just really that first night, but after about a week, I noticed such an improvement in the way that I felt in the morning. That's the thing. My energy levels. I was waking up feeling prior to mouth taping not fully rested. I would sleep 8-9 hours, 7 to 9 hours, and not be fully there, and would need several cups of coffee, would be drinking coffee like 3 to 4 hours into the day, still feeling groggy. And when I started mouth taping, it changed the way that I felt in the morning, which really changes the way that you do everything throughout the day. And now that I'm a mom, I have a 15-month-old baby. Sleep is so important, especially for any new moms out there, or just moms in general, parents in general, which I'm sure you have a very, parent-focused audience. Sleep is essential. It affects your mood, the way your digestion, your gut microbiome, and we can get into all of those details with actually how taping your mouth can really impact your overall health. So I'm a breath junkie. I love it. I constantly notice people that are mouth breathing, and I go up to them.
Same. I'm a very big baseball fan, and don't hold it against me. Anyone who knows the New York Mets, they're my team since I'm a little girl, and there are a few people on that team that I know. I'm like, if they would only tape, or if they would only learn to breathe through their noses, they would be able to hit that ball, Like you see them with their mouths wide open, huffing and puffing. I'm like, oh, close your mouth. Anyway, I've talked about that a few times, but
the craziest place that I see mouth breathers is on airplanes. And so I bring a pack of mouth tape every single time. I fly about once a month, twice a month, do a lot of traveling. And I pass out mouth tape on the airplane.
How interesting.
Like, here you go. Here's my business card. But really just here's the tape. Try this.
Right.
People around you will be grateful, and you will be thankful.
That's so cool. But what kind of reactions do you get?
The whole gamut. People are like, what the hell? And some people are like, okay. Yeah, almost everyone, no matter what, even if you just hand something, this is a little social experiment, even if you just hand someone mouth tape or hand someone anything, they typically will meet you and take it. And then there's a moment where they're like, wait, what's happening? Why am I holding this tape?
Is this free?
I give my,
what's the catch?
What is this? Yeah.
I give my 10-second elevator pitch, and then I've seen people put it on. Sometimes I've even taken a selfie with them too.
Oh, that's great. I love it. I love it. Spreading good breathing wherever you go.
Yes.
So, Natalia.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about how you got here. So you introduced mouth taping to Lauren, but was that a new thing for you and your husband at the time, or had you been doing that for a while?
No, it was pretty new for us. I'd say like maybe a few months. I started mouth taping because during COVID, when, everything shut down, I really started to focus on wellness and myself. I think it was a really hard time for everybody. And because, we were home, I kind of took that time to just go all in on, health and wellness. And I was working out every day. My husband and I own a gym, so we were able to, use that, just the two of us. So I was going to the gym. We were, cooking every meal. We were practicing breath work. We were having little yoga sessions outside. We were going on walks, meditation. I mean, we got a sauna to use at our house.
That's beautiful. So instead of giving into the terror that it was, you took it and ran with it in a good direction.
Yeah, we just figured, we have all this time and it's really stressful. I was actually pregnant at the time. And we just totally went inward and started, really focusing on us, and we were feeling great. However, even though I was going to bed early, I was eating all the right things. I was moving my body. I was in nature. I was, journaling, meditation, breath work, all of that. I still was waking up exhausted in the morning. And I got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I didn't understand what was going on, why this was happening, and I was looking on Instagram, and a chiropractor that I follow put up a slide about feeling tired in the morning and mouth breathing and talking about mouth tape. And one of the things she said was, if you wake up with drool on your pillow, then
glamorous.
Then that's a sign that you're mouth breathing. One of the signs. And I was also having these really horrible, nightmares that didn't have anything to do with what was happening in my life, because I was at such a great place. So I know it wasn't emotional. It was just something with my sleep where I wasn't fully maximizing in my sleep, or sleeping well. So I saw that she talked about mouth tape, and I just got it and tried it, and I could not believe how much better I slept. I mean, it was that big of a difference that one night for me.
That's so interesting. So
I never
did
stopped.
you have any idea, did you have any concern that you had obstructive sleep apnea or sleep disordered breathing before that?
No.
Wow.
I think it's actually something that goes heavily undiagnosed.
Yeah.
Most
we talk about
people,
that a lot on this podcast. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you snore, if you wake up with drool on your pillow, if you wake up with a dry mouth, you're mouth breathing throughout the night.
Right.
It's just, and you might not be an overweight snorer and the typical person that might have mild sleep apnea or severe sleep apnea or anywhere on the sleep apnea spectrum. But for me, I noticed that I don't snore, but I noticed my mouth was open as I was breathing throughout the night. And I started tracking my sleep. I started, Talia and I are big Oura Ring fans. We love sleep data. We literally text screenshots when we get above a 90. And we really have a circle.
Yeah, we have a circle.
The Apple Watch has a new program with it that gives you a rating, and I'm looking at the numbers.
Yeah, it gets a little addictive. You're like, okay, it's got to be better tonight.
I'm wait, I forgot to put my watch on. I really slept 3 more hours last night than it said. Not fair. And I'm now my whole thing is thrown off. My whole chart is thrown off. Yeah, it's crazy. I get geek out on those numbers.
Oh my gosh, they're great. They're such great tools.
You know what I like the most about it, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but it is very reflective of how I'm feeling. So it's is a confirmation that, you know what, I had a great night's sleep last night, I can tell. And then I look and the numbers match, or I went through enough REM and all the things. So to me, that's what's cool about it. There are nights when I'm like, oh God, I feel like crap. And I look at it and I'm like, no wonder I never got any deep sleep. What was going on? What did I eat last night?
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have had that second glass of wine or whatever.
I noticed
these are all tools, right? These are all tools. Did either of you notice mouth breathing during the day? You both work out, in different ways. Like, did you notice mouth breathing before that during the day? Because to me, where I realized I was mouth breathing was on the treadmill. When I was working out. My friend said to me, you might not be a mouth breather in general, but close your mouth when you're running and see what happens.
Yeah. Closing your mouth when you're working out really helps. I mean, there's a lot of science to this, but it helps your balance your CO2 and your oxygen levels. And that's why you see a lot of people mouth taping at the gym when they're on their bikes, cycling, running. It's very challenging to do that because we're so used to huffing and puffing because our body gets into a higher state of stress when we're working out.
Yeah.
But when you actually close your mouth, your nose is doing wonders when you're working out. You're able to produce more nitric oxide, which is a molecule in the body that helps deliver more oxygen to your organs, to your brain. And so for those that are listening, I mean, try mouth taping when you're running. It is a challenge. And if you're at the gym, I belong to a local gym here and I bring the mouth tape, and if anything, it's just entertaining to see people's reactions.
Yeah. So what I realized, and I didn't tape at the gym, but I started trying, consciously just closing my mouth. And it was a real challenge in the beginning. I was like, no, I can't do this because I was so trained. But once I did, my stamina got so much better. And I'm an older woman who was just learning to run. And of course, COVID was my journey as well. I started working out right before COVID. And then my gym actually had outside workouts.
Oh, that's
free.
Amazing.
They canceled all membership and they wanted to keep us engaged. So we had 6 foot apart workouts on a field. It was wonderful. It kept me sane, because it was a little socializing, even though we couldn't get close to each other. And we're outside, breathing outside air, even when it was cold out, working out outside. And, but my stamina really improved when I realized, yes, breathing through your nose is important, even when you're running, or walking or lifting, So
I do
cool.
the Stairmaster, and when I focus on breathing through my nose and just really doing counting, I notice that my stamina is so much better, and it also makes the time go by faster because you're concentrating on breathing and your body isn't struggling as much. So you're like, you look down and you're like, wow, I've already been on here for 15 minutes and I'm not panting the way I used to.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you, Lauren, when you're talking about yoga and breathing, one of the things that I've observed since I became cognizant of the way I breathe is sometimes when you're working out in group classes, like a yoga class, it's breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose. And I'm like, wait a minute. That seems counterintuitive. And I'd love to ask you, as someone who practices yoga and understands breath at the same time, what are your thoughts on this?
There's so many different ways to breathe. There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
When you're breathing through your nose, it tends to be more of a relaxation breath. And when you're breathing through your mouth, it tends to upregulate the body and and there's different purposes for both. Mm-hmm. When you're breathing through your nose, it triggers more of that calm state in your nervous system. And that's why a lot of yogic breath, if you go to a yoga class, they use the Sanskrit term ujjayi, which is nasal breathing, in and out through the nose. And sometimes breathing in through the nose, then taking a breath out through the mouth allows, when you exhale, it's not so much about whether you breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth, it's about lengthening your breath.
Okay.
So when you do really quick breath, either in the nose or the mouth, you really upregulate the body. Like so, it's almost like essentially hyperventilating your body. And there's certain ways that can be beneficial. What we related to mouth taping and improving your sleep, lowering your stress, slowing down your exhale is really important for triggering that rest and digest response in the body. So you'll hear a lot of yoga teachers say, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, or inhale through the nose, slowly release out the mouth. It just signals to your body that it's time to rest and relax. And I'd love to hear what your experience is like in with the breath in yoga classes.
Yeah, because I used to think it was great. And then I tried, when I learned about nasal breathing, I experimented with not exhaling through my mouth, relaxing my mouth, not keeping it tight and relaxing everything, but exhaling through my nose. And that felt more in line with how I breathe all the time, because I do concentrate on trying to nasal breathe more often. And then, I was also thinking about diaphragmatic breathing as opposed to puffing up your belly when you breathe, which sometimes happens when you're doing that instructed breathing without someone who understands breath, if you know what I mean when I say that. Like breathe really deeply, and people are abdominal breathing to get that deep breath in. Maybe you can talk better on that, because you're the expert on this. I'm just an observer.
I'd love to add on to that. So
yeah.
Diaphragmatic breath is essentially, for those listening, it's breathing through your mouth or through your nose, but we're going to talk about the nasal breathing here. And when on the inhale, you puff up your belly and then you move the breath up into your chest. So it's a full, you're filling your body fully with breath, and you're actually strengthening the muscle, which is your your diaphragm is a muscle in the body that allows your lungs to fill up with oxygen, and it strengthens the intercostal muscles, which is the muscles between the rib cage. It can strengthen your heart vessels. There's so much benefits to diaphragmatic breathing, which is really just pressing out your belly. And we tend to breathe, if you notice your breath throughout the day, we breathe very shallow. We breathe with our chest, and it's very low. It's not that full, long inhale, long exhale. And it's like a muscle. It needs to be worked. And when you breathe through your belly, it continues to signal that relaxation. It lowers your stress level. It's also a way to detox too. So when you breathe through your mouth, there's a purpose of that. Also, there's vocal toning. So I'm sure you've heard, and Talia and I do this all the time. When you take a sigh, so when you take a ha or that vocal toning, that vibration in your vocal cords, it activates the vagus nerve. It does all of these different things in the body that we're not even aware of that helps calm and relax. So that's why a sigh can feel so good, or when you notice that someone's in a heightened stress state. And that's why most people are like, all right, take a deep breath, take a sigh.
Yeah.
Same thing with yawning as well.
Mm-hmm. And I often tell women, if I'm seeing a dyad for breastfeeding help and they're all tensed up, I'll say, take a nice deep breath and exhale it slowly and drop your shoulders when you exhale. And then, we're doing that. And then all of a sudden the baby's latching without her doing anything, because now she's gotten out of that hyper toned state, relaxed. And also the fight or flight response can't blocks the oxytocin, which is the hormone that lets the milk flow. So if you're in that state, so just one or two simple breaths. And that's one of even in my instructions that I send to parents afterwards, I remember to take deep breaths when before you try to latch the baby. And that really, really, really helps. Then the other thing I want to tie this into tongue tie, because why do we mouth breathe? Right? Like that's one of the root causes of mouth breathing is the way our oral anatomy is in our mouths, right? So oral anatomy, tongue tie, large adenoids, not being able to breathe through the nose from allergies or infection or chronic inflammation. Anything I'm missing? What causes us to mouth breathe and not nasal breathe?
Yeah, airway obstruction. I was breastfeeding. I breastfed all my kids. And my first, I had such a terrible time.
I'm sorry.
Just because, he's only 5, but this wasn't talked about as much then. And definitely not when I was younger. So I'm sure my mom, she said she had a hard time with me too. But I just kind of was struggling through it. And then eventually when he was about almost 9 months, I went and I got him evaluated because my supply was dropping, and I wanted to keep going, and I got him evaluated, and he had a tongue and a cheek tie. And because of his age, and they would have had to put him under in order to do it, was what I was told.
Right. Not really true, but
that's
the story for another day.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I ended up not doing it with him, and I stopped breastfeeding him a few weeks after. When I had my second, I immediately went, and she had a frenectomy, and I had a very easy time breastfeeding with her and latching, and when she sleeps now, she sleeps with her mouth closed, which is really interesting because my son is a mouth breather, and whenever I see him sleeping, he's snoring. He has drool on his pillow. So I really, and my youngest too, he also had a tongue tie that I got corrected. And it's just my oldest that I never corrected that mouth breathe.
In my experience, we can't always guarantee that if we do the frenectomy, things will be all okay, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times we need more than just that, whether it be oral exercises or reducing tension elsewhere, retraining that tongue, especially if the baby was older. And then I'm sorry for what the experience you had, and I could only imagine that feeling of like, if I had only known, and it's not your fault that you didn't know. If you've ever heard me tell my stories of my kids, it's a real I'll keep this G-rated. It's a poop show of what I had to do to nurse my kids, and how easily I had to give up because of lack of support. But there's no easy answer, and it's not always a quick fix either. You were lucky that just that procedure and everything was better. But every child is different. But I would look for signs like you are looking at, and knowing that it's never too late to fix this, somebody who's dealing with the function at the time. So as a newborn, a lactation consultant who's trained in tongue tie is the person to evaluate that function, or a speech language pathologist who's trained in feeding. As the child gets older, it's a speech language pathologist, myofunctional therapist, or a COM trained, a COM trained myofunctional therapist who understands how to evaluate the function of the mouth. And 5 is not a bad age to think about that for the future,
Yeah.
Because and this is one thing, I love what you're doing with the mouth tape, but that can only Band-Aid the function that's not there. We still want to improve the function of the tongue, right? You're improving the function of the sleep, but we still want to get that tongue moving.
Yes.
So how are we going to do that? How are we going to strengthen the tongue? So I love this piece of the puzzle, and I feel like all the pieces fit together. The breathing work, the breath work, the learning how to breathe, the tongue tie. It's all fits together.
I do notice that my son, cannot stick his tongue out that far. And I know that, is a sign.
As far as your son, I would say consider getting an evaluation with a myofunctional therapist. We tend to think if we think there's something structural, we have to go to the person that's going to fix it, right? But the first person to go to would be someone who can evaluate function. Because when we go to a surgeon, whether it be an ENT or a pediatric dentist, we're going to the person that's looking, for the most part, just looking to see the thing they can fix without evaluating the function of the thing. I'm talking really technical now, right? How is it all working? Is this the problem, right? Is this the problem that needs to be fixed? Or is there something else going on? Or is it even impeding function? Maybe it's not. Maybe his tongue function is fine and there's something else. Maybe he's got a tightness in the back of his neck or adenoids or something, so just to me, I'm not diagnosing your son on a podcast. I'm just talking in general, what we do when a child is around 5 years old. That's what you would look at. A speech language pathologist who's trained in oral function, or a COM, someone who's really highly certified in myofunctional therapy, to evaluate his function, and then suggest if there's going to be a tongue tie release, you would want to prepare with myofunctional therapy, maybe feeding therapy, breathing therapy, whatever that particular child needs to be ready and prepared. Because the frenotomy is just one part of the piece of the treatment plan.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool how this all
Yeah.
comes full circle, right?
I brought him to the chiropractor when he was born too, and he had hypertone.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked through that, and he's just a very tight kid all around. So I've kind of been slowly, getting him evaluated and supporting him through different things. And now it's time.
Airway dentist for sure. An airway focused dentist to see what's going on inside. Other than, it's not just about the front and under the tongue. You want to look at his palate, you want to look at his airway.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because all of a sudden there's an explosion of different types of providers that are starting to become available to us. Whereas 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there was nothing. I was told that I was torturing myself by trying to breastfeed. Why would you do that, Mama? That's what my pediatrician said. You're putting yourself in jail. You're tied to her. That's what I was told with my second baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I was starving her as well, whereas she had only lost 5% of her birth weight. And I was told I was starving her. Still healing that. Healing that with my daughter, and she's healing it through the nursing she's doing with her own children, which is beautiful,
There is so much pressure on moms to make sure that their babies are getting enough nutrients. We don't know, especially if you're a new mom, you're literally day by day figuring it out. But I mean, a fed baby is best. And it is our most designed way is to breastfeed and to be properly educated and have the lactation support, and the support from your community, from your family is so important. And I would have breastfed for 2 years if I could. And my production started to decline, and that's okay. But I went steady for a while. And I wanted to ask you something that I'm really intrigued about is bottle fed versus breastfed for the structure of the mouth. I've been reading a lot about babies and kids that were more bottle fed, having narrow mouths, having some airway obstructions because they weren't on the breast as maybe long as we were, as we used to be, and then we evolved into bottle feeding over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are studies that show that, and I don't have them handy because I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but there are studies that show that kids that were mostly breastfed have less snoring at 8 years old, right?
Wow.
So if you think about what the mouth has to do to latch on a breast properly. Now, you can have poor breastfeeding that, does not lead to a good oral structure. That's what's important about having a functional assessment by an IBCLC, is making sure that baby is latching effectively, comfortably, with a wide open mouth, in good positions that promote oral posture, right? The tongue posture up and using the whole mouth. So if you're latched on a breast, and this isn't a video podcast, but picture my mouth, my hands as a mouth wide open like a big C. That's a different kind of latch than having a small, narrow grasping on a nipple, whether it be a bottle nipple or a pacifier nipple. So even the bottles that pretend to be looking like a breast, they're actually the worst ones, because most babies will just chomp on that little nipple that sticks out and not open their mouth wide and get on the breast. And that's actually worse for oral posture. It's seeming to be anyway. I don't know if there's actual studies, but it just intuitively doesn't make sense. And babies have a hard time on those bottles, rightfully so, because they're not, they can't open their mouth that wide. So the marketing of bottles to moms that are breast-like, the marketing of orthodontic pacifiers usually is a red flag to go the other way. And ask your feeding specialist which bottles, which pacifiers, rather than listening to the marketing that's thrown at women, like, oh, you want to do as close to breast as possible. There is no such thing, honestly, and not to make anybody feel bad. As I say, I have bottle fed. I support bottle feeding and breastfeeding. You have to make your own decision. And you mentioned fed is best. That's a controversial, very controversial statement. I would like to say educated is best, informed is best, because a lot of people are making decisions without getting support or without having the support available to them. And that's not the best. That's not the best. Yes, of course, we all want our kids fed, right?
Yeah, I think
so it's really hard. We get into mommy guilt, and there's so much guilt on moms, and I want to be the last person that puts more pressure or guilt. So I'm just for all the education.
Yeah.
Like, let's just tell everybody all the things and give them all information that's not coming from, predatory marketing.
And allow people to make the decision based on what feels best for them and their mental health. And I mean, Natalia and I started OITape out of an inspiration, really a motivation to get to the root cause of why is our sleep so poor, and why you ask anyone on the street, everyone has sleeping issues. Everyone, I mean, truly, there's sleep anxiety about falling asleep. It takes an hour to fall asleep, which is a whole thing. Snoring, dry mouth, dental
waking
issues.
Up in the middle of the night, not being able to go back to sleep. That's what happens in my age group as women hit perimenopause, menopause. There's that lack of being able to sleep through the night, almost like when your kids were babies. So how did you get from Try Mouth Tape to starting a company? Like, I'd love to hear your entrepreneurial journey. This is so fascinating to me.
Yes. You want to go for it, Tal?
Yeah, sure. So I was using 3M micropore tape, medical tape. It's just the roll. You can get it at any drugstore. And ripping it off and putting it on my mouth at night and using it every single night. But, here in New Jersey, where we put the heat on and my skin was getting dry, it really started to irritate my lips and leave some sticky residue. And it just wasn't comfortable. I was getting everybody on board with mouth taping in my family, my friends. And they all had very similar experiences where they felt the tape was too harsh, or in the winter, they felt like it was making their lips too dry. So Lauren and I decided we could totally make a comfortable tape that, you know, is for mouth taping, that is accessible and effective. So we started looking for manufacturers. We knew we wanted to use somebody in the United States. We found a couple and asked for different samples of adhesives and materials. And we chose what we currently have, which is a medical grade silicone adhesive. It's made in a sterile room, temperature controlled, and we actually designed the shape of our tape. Lauren and I figured out how we wanted it to look and customized it. We started with our vented version with a little hole in the center, and something that is unique is we used the eye in our logo, OITape, to make that the shape of the vent.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool.
We really put a lot of thought into it as far as the size, the material. We tried lots of different adhesives. Not all adhesives are created equally, is what we found. There's all different types. And yeah.
I like the fact that you said silicone, because that's less reactive, right, to the skin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's hypoallergenic. Sorry, Del. It's hypoallergenic. And I mean, there's now in, 2025, there are dozens of different mouth tape companies out there, and you could get mouth tape for pennies a day. However, it's really important for those that want to try mouth taping that are listening. We of course, we're biased with our tape, and we would love for you to try OITape. But there's so many different adhesives that have forever chemicals that are really actually toxic over time to your skin and can penetrate the skin barrier, getting into your bloodstream. And in a world where there's so many chemicals that we're breathing in, just being in your house, breathing in the pollutants in the air, all of that is something that we're fighting against every single day. So when you're putting products on your skin like mouth tape, which is on your skin for anywhere from 7 to 10 hours a night, it better be as low toxicity as possible. And
Plus,
medical
then
grade,
the garbage, right? If you're tossing it in the trash, then you're getting those forever chemicals in the atmosphere and the environment. I'm all about that with the estrogen-like compounds,
hormone disruptors.
Hormone disruptors and all of that. You're speaking my language for sure. We want to keep out the chemicals as much as possible. So you're not creating new chemicals or putting them out into the world, which is
exactly
wonderful.
And we oversee the entire manufacturing process, which is something that was so important to us. We could save a lot of money by going overseas and getting some cheap tape, and our profit margins would probably be better, but that is not our value of ours. We really care about actually knowing who's manufacturing it, that it's in the United States, because the regulations in the United States are really strict on any personal health product. So it has to meet certain criteria that other countries, if you're buying the product from the tape material from other countries, that they don't really care, because it comes down to money. And it's so that is really why, as female entrepreneurs, we love running this business and having insight into each, going to visit the manufacturer facility and seeing exactly how the tape is packaged and processed. And we have really good relationships with our manufacturers and our vendors that we've been working with for years. And we're just continuing to grow, and that's why I pass on mouth tip on the airplane, because I'm so passionate about it. I mean, we give away so much product and tape because we just want people to try it. We know it's a little bit of nervous kind of a taboo sleep habit or sleep hack.
And people don't like to talk about how they sleep.
Yeah.
No, and it's yes, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Definitely. People don't like to talk about how they sleep, and people don't like to talk about or admit that they snore is also something.
Right. Somehow we think kids snoring is cute. And then
it's like, my husband snores, and he's like, no, I don't,
Yeah.
Well, and snoring is basically, I mean, this is a little dramatic, but snoring is essentially choking as you sleep. Like your body is starving for
and that's a late
good
sign,
airflow,
right?
Yes.
That's a late sign of obstructive sleep.
Yes,
it's not the first sign. So you can have sleep apnea, obstructive sleep disorder without snoring. But snoring is like, hello,
help me.
I'm dying here.
And two things, it's like for all of the women out there that have husbands that snore like a freight train, that's something that that's like Talia's tagline with her husband. Try mouth taping. Encourage your man to mouth tape, or your partner. And also, women snore too. It's not just the men. Yeah. Women snore, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about your BMI or your weight. You could be healthy, peak health, but still have your mouth dropping open, because we've unfortunately evolved to be mouth breathers based on a lot of environmental factors. The food is a lot softer that we eat now, which has weakened our jaw.
Most of us weren't breastfed as kids.
Exactly.
We're filtering pollutants.
So we're sort of
food.
We're having to fight against a lot of these environmental factors, a lot of evolutionary factors, but you can easily change it. Just simply, taping your mouth shut, training your body, retraining your body, just like anything, just like going to the gym, just like changing your diet. You really can change your breathing.
Yeah.
Also, your nose.
And I love the integrity of the two of you in your company, and how you're living your beliefs, you're marketing your beliefs, not cutting corners just to make money, which is something we don't have enough of that in the world,
Yeah, for sure. Also,
so thank you for that.
Your nose filters the air when you breathe. And when you breathe through your mouth, there's nothing filtering that air. That's what your nose hairs are for, is they actually filter air. So Lauren likes to use it on an airplane, and I've noticed that when I use it on an airplane, I don't get sick, because everyone's crammed in that airplane, breathing through their mouth,
rebreathing the same air.
Yeah, rebreathing the same air, snoring. So, I mean, if you have mouth tape in or you're just using your nose, you have your own little air filter right there.
Yeah, that's great. So is there anything that, I don't want to take too much of your time, more of your time. I mean, I feel like we could talk for hours and hours, but are there any points that you wished I made that we didn't get to about mouth taping or your product itself? And you'll be hearing, those of you listening to the podcast, you'll be hearing more about OITape tape, because I just love this product. And I don't let a lot of products on as sponsors. I don't let a sponsor sponsor my podcast episodes unless I believe in their work ethic, in their in their integrity and their mission. And OITape has agreed to be a sponsor for some episodes. So thank you so much for that, because that helps us to keep going.
Yeah, the last thing I'll leave everyone with is just it's okay if you have sleep issues, if you are an anxious sleeper, if you sleep with a snorer or you're a snorer yourself. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We tell our story all the time. I mean, I had severe teeth grinding and sleep anxiety. It would take me hours to fall asleep, give me so much panic that, I need that I have a big day tomorrow. I need this amount of hours. I have a baby. I mean, we're all experiencing a lot of anxiety around sleep, and it's nothing to be ashamed with. And simply taping your mouth can alleviate a lot of that stress and anxiety. And, whether it's our mouth tape or another mouth tape, or like Talia said, a roll at the store that you pick up, we just encourage starting the habit of it. And, if you try our mouth tape, our customer service is through the roof. If you don't like it, if it's not working for you, if you have any issues, you get your money back within 30 days. You can just directly email us. Talia and I read every single email that comes through because we care about our community and our customers. So we just appreciate being on the podcast and talking with your audience, Lisa, and talking with you.
Excellent. Of course. My pleasure. And where can people find OITape? Is it in stores? Is it only online?
Yes, so we have a website. It's OITape.com, and you can follow us on Instagram at OITape, and we'll link all the links in the show notes. I'm sure.
Absolutely, I have that.
And and then on our website we're always offering promotions and holiday sales. So we have Black Friday coming up, and I don't know if this is going to air before or after that, but we have plenty of New Year's sales as well coming up that it's great to hop on and just get make the point of entry less if there's some promotions.
Excellent. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here today.
Thank you, Lisa.
I look forward to watching your company grow and all the people that you help live more vibrant lives. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Tongue Tie Experts podcast. Check out the show notes for useful links about the topics we discussed and for ways to follow us on social media. Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed listening, we'd love it if you'd rate, review, and share with your friends and colleagues. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. The International Association of Orofacial Myology is your home for 3 core pillars to elevate your professional practice: membership, certification, and education. With 55 years of leadership in myofunctional therapy and research, IAOM membership connects you with a global community of like-minded healthcare professionals, including those in dentistry, speech-language pathology, dental hygiene, physical, and occupational therapy. Certification. Earn and become a board-certified orofacial myologist, or COM, the pinnacle benchmark with global recognition for its rigorous standardization and training. What makes the COM unique is the integrity of the certification process. The Board of Examiners is independent, so the instructor who teaches you is not the one who certifies you. Maintaining COM as a true third-party credential, recognized for clinical excellence and professional rigor. Education. The annual IAOM convention offers ASHA for speech and AGD for dental approved continuing education credits, so you can learn, connect, and earn CEUs all in one inspiring event. Join the IAOM. Get certified, expand your impact, become part of the movement shaping the future of orofacial myofunctional therapy. Learn more today at IAOM.com. Are you a healthcare professional working with breastfeeding infants? Wish you knew more about assessing and treating tongue ties? Earn continuing education credits and transform your practice with the Professional's Guide to Tongue Tie in the Breastfeeding Infant. It's perfect for any practitioner who works with infants and their mothers, especially those working through feeding challenges. Learn to identify who needs treatment, build a qualified care team, and provide holistic care options. Discover the ins and outs of frenotomy, including procedure preparation and best aftercare practices. By the end, you'll be confidently supporting breastfeeding families armed with the latest protocols, and be part of an interdisciplinary community of experts just like you. Tongue ties are nothing new, but the right way to assess and treat them is. Ready to make a real difference? Join now and become a tongue tie expert. Sign up today at tonguetieexperts.net/professional and become the evidence-based resource that your community needs. To show my gratitude, I'm offering you a special discount as a podcast listener. Use code PODCAST40 to save 40% off today.